In a storm cold fear, they bought my voice, then took my tears. When you look at me now, I'm a poster child, hiding all my pain under a smile. And you'll never see me, because that's not allowed. I was born of light, now I'm a shadow of a shadow. But I dream of flying to a sky called me, where I'm singing in the clouds like a freedom banshee. And they're trying to calm me down to the safety of their cage, yet all they have is money, and I've already paid. Soar high into myself. The moon plucked me from the dust on their shelf. Can you see me whirling through their bars? I'm warming my soul in a sea of stars. And all I have to do to reach the sky is dream that I kissed all my fears goodbye. And all I have to do to reach the sky is dream that I kissed all my fears goodbye. You should try it, you know, for this land is built under an endless sky. And the key to their cage is the courage to fly. And the key to their cage is the courage to fly. Soar high into myself. The moon plucked me from the dust on their shelf. Can you see me whirling through their bars? I'm warming my soul in a sea of stars. And all I had to do to reach the sky was dream that I kissed all my fears goodbye. And all I had to do to reach the sky was dream that I kissed all my fears goodbye.
Okay, before I bring in my guest, I'm going to play you something from when he was in court a few years ago. This is not what we're going to talk about tonight, but this is, we're going to talk about this thing, but it's not what it's about. But watch this. As soon as I saw this, I thought, yes, I found a brother. Here we go.
Bryce Heaton joins us live from South Plimpton. And Bryce, he targeted businesses there.
He did, Brenton. Police say he targeted a fruit and veg shop and a bakery here at the Forbes shopping centre on Marion Road. The 51-year-old Colin Davies had very little to say for himself as he left the City Watch House just late today after being granted bail. Police are alleging the Edwardstown man stuck fake QR codes over real ones on Anzac Day and that those linked to about the COVID-19 pandemic. He was spotted by shop management and arrested today. He was charged with 2 counts of obstructing operations to do with the pandemic under the Emergency Management Act and 1 count of possessing a weapon, a dagger that was allegedly found in his bedroom. Have you put these QR codes anywhere else?
No comment.
So why did you stick the QR codes up at the shops at South Plimpton?
No comment, mate.
So is that a dagger I see in your bedroom, or are you just excited that the police are here?
Bit of both.
Man, I so need to laugh, but it's not a laughing thing. But thank you, brother. Can I say, how many shops did you do before they got you?
So I did the bakery down at Forbes, and then I proceeded to go up to my local shopping centre at Castle Plaza, and I put a couple up there at the local Foodland. And that was enough to about 4 days later have 12 cops raid my property. Yeah.
12 cops.
Yeah. Yep. Quite the circus.
No, I'm not. Actually, it's insane how they turn up. So you got 12 cops. You got one guy just posting things. Did anyone get back to you with the website that went to the website? Did anyone go, hey, what's this?
No, I don't think they wanted to talk about that one, Michael. That's
I
it
know.
wasn't.
I love how they said COVID lies. Yeah, well, lies. What you mean? Like it's fake. It doesn't
Yeah.
work. That lie.
As it turns out, it was through a gentleman called Peter Harris and the Australian Federation Party.
Yeah.
The party had put out little. They had a webpage, Vaccine Choice Australia, and in my infinite wisdom, I went and made some little thermo QR codes that took you to that website. And I had a pocket full with me on the day of Anzac Day, and I went for a ride to town, did the Anzac Day tribute, and then headed off on my way on a ride to stop at a bakery, and just thought, oh, why not put one up here? And watched a woman walk in and scan herself to Vaccine Choice Australia rather than to the government website, and she started asking questions, and I hightailed it out of there. And
it's hard to think back. You think back to those Anzac Day, because I remember when it was coming up, I was thinking, surely this is going to change people. This is Anzac Day. Are you really going to ban people from coming down and celebrating freedom? So you're going to go to an Anzac Day celebration, a dawn service, to celebrate those who died for our freedoms, but some Australians aren't going to be free to attend because they didn't comply.
Kind of ironic, isn't it?
I thought it would be like everyone would go, nah, this is insane. But it just went by like nothing. Yeah. And then the next one and the next one, nothing. Didn't cause a ripple. Yeah.
No. People standing in their driveways up and down the street with candles, too afraid to go down to the RSL park at the end of the street. I went and did my own. I had my own Anzac celebrations in the park, and half a dozen locals turned up, and thank you very much for doing that. It's like, I'm not going to live in fear. We're meant to be free.
I wonder how many men could have come back from the war if instead of getting in the trench, they said they're too frightened, and they actually just stood back at the barracks with candles. We'd have so many more live men.
It's abhorrent to think that they went through that suffering and sacrifice for this to be the result. 7-8 years later, it's just abhorrent.
I know. You can, and then the RSLs are still there. Going mateship and all this stuff. You're thinking it's a lie. Lest we forget, you chose to forget. You chose.
Yeah, they don't want to scratch the surface of history and find out what's really going on behind the scenes of it all. They just accept things as gospel, much to their own detriment, as we're seeing now.
Yeah,
100%. With a nation.
Yep. Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, you're right. Go. You go.
I was just going to say, I just want to hear about what it was like when the 12 cops turned up, because I'm betting that that's not a regular occurrence for you.
So COVID's commenced in March 2020. I've had neighbours call the COVID police on me for having parties with too many people and entertaining too many people at my home when I shouldn't have been. So I've had a couple of COVID call-outs on my premises in that year leading up to 2021 when I went to Anzac Day. I was full of passion, full of that Anzac spirit, and didn't really think a lot of it until 4 days later, as I said, where I had cops coming from every direction.
What was that like?
They were hostile.
Did they bring the riot squad?
Well, yeah, pretty much. I think there was at least 11 or 12 of them at the last count that actually attended that day. They had my whole home surrounded, so I couldn't escape, because I'm such a dangerous criminal. And it was just extraordinary that day.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at how utterly ridiculous they are. Now, did they have a search warrant for your house?
Yeah, they had some sort of generic, Kellogg's cornflakes, 12 months open-ended search warrant from their COVID scam police department.
Yeah.
Giving them fake authority to do as they please whenever they like for 12 months. No name or crime needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what did they do to you when you were there? Did they have you on? Did they handcuff you? Did they take you away and search the house without you, or did they
Yeah.
bring out this dagger from your bedroom? You naughty boy?
No, that was So they arrested me on the spot. I just woken up. They woke me up, arriving in my home, yelling out "Wally" over the fence. That got my attention. I then went outside to be confronted with a couple of cops hanging over the neighbour's fence and demanding that I let them in. I protested as long as I could, stood my ground as long as I could before, the threats escalated that if I didn't open the gate, then, there'd be serious consequences. So I opened the gate, of which they stormed through and handcuffed me immediately, proceeded to, rifle through everything in my home, take computers and a whole bunch of stickers. These are violent stickers that they had to remove as well as evidence. And that was the beginning of about 18 months of chaos and absolutely abhorrent behaviour from what purported authorities.
Let's take us through that. So your only thing is changing the COVID things from the QR code, which I think Dominic Pair of Tits from New South Wales said they didn't do anything anyway. They were just a conditioning device to get us. So they're pointless. And now I think my partner Kelly was telling me they're finding them in landfills. The actual this. So it was a pointless endeavor for them. So, but
well, I think sorry to interrupt, but I think Canberra spent somewhere in the vicinity of $17 million, and that got about one person per $1 million who was actually track and traced with COVID. So that's not bad going. $1 million a pop for some scam tracing. Yeah, some scam tracing app that was basically a failure from the get-go.
Yeah. Or a failure from our point of view, but for them, it got us all trained, showed us how trained they are. Jason here just put up, where to go? It's just saying, such a flight risk, you couldn't leave the country. I don't think you could even leave the state.
No, I'm currently on bail now. I'm not allowed to leave South Australia with the current situation. They've got me held to ransom in.
Okay, well, let's get to that. But first off, let's finish this. So, you got bail. What were the bail conditions?
That I not carry any QR code stickers on me, and I not attend at the Forbes shopping centre. So I was prevented from going back to my local bakeries for about 15 months.
Sorry, man. I'm sorry. I shouldn't.
No, it's if it wasn't so tragic, yeah.
You weren't allowed to carry QR stickers.
Yeah. I was banned from carrying thermo QR codes. Oh fuck! Sorry.
I'm sorry, man. Honestly,
no, I had to laugh too. It's the only thing that's kept me sane through this process of insanity, mate.
I hear you, man. My thing where I was arrested at the Shrine, I think there was 8 court appearances. We even were doing the tour around Australia. We finished it early to get back. I already them have to go. We're going to do it by Zoom.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I just got back
I
from
think I had
Canberra.
15 hearings. I think I had
15.
15 hearings over the course of. So that was from March, April 2021 until it completed in February 23.
Oh yeah, the sliding door, Randall. For those who don't know, I've already told Colin this. What do you prefer, Colin or Wally?
Oh,
Wally.
I was nicknamed Collie Wally by my primary school mates, so I've had the name Wally tagged on me for over 45 years, mate.
Collie Wally, it is. It's a good name.
So
Wally. So Randall Smith, he's talking about one of the Cardi girls, Susanna. She's also from Adelaide. She was working in a chemist, and she was unjabbed, and she used to put the QR code on the sliding door and just used to watch people trying to come in like this, trying to QR code in, which I think wins the award for the most inventive thing to do with a QR code. And but I've met other people, they used to go around with texters and just add lines to it, which totally effed it up. So this, but let's go back. So 15 court appearances. When did they actually charge you? Did they throw it out? I read another thing you wanted it thrown out, and $10,000 worth of fines, right?
Yeah, correct. And then the
10,000.
and then after that they've arrested me late March 21. I think my first court hearing was around June, I think, and that's where further charges were added pertaining to finding a double-edged sword in my bedroom.
A double-edged sword,
which was just a fishing knife that I had stored in a room. It wasn't necessarily my bedroom, so they just started
your house.
Yeah, so they just started concocting things to try and make it look like I was the bad guy. Which, again, that charge was thrown out. There was no basis for that. Yeah, it wasn't an illegal weapon at all. So that charge was thrown out, and the COVID sticker Emergency Management Act charges were thrown out as well. That was withdrawn.
So they put you through 18 court appearances, and they finally withdrew it.
Yep.
And so this was just to torment you and to
basically try and stamp some sort of authority over the situation that they were right and I was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. But they knew they had nothing from the beginning.
Well, they thought they had something, but then as the envelope got pushed and questions got asked regarding the State of Emergency Management Act and the fact that they'd been rubber stamping this state of emergency every month for 2 years, that led them to a few problems, because once you start looking at the 2004 State of Emergency Management Act, you realise that the governor of the state can make a state of emergency for 28 days and the police commissioner can extend that for 14 days, and that's the end of it. So literally by law, the state of emergency should have been over around Mother's Day 2020, but they extended it on, as we know, for up to 2 years. And it wasn't that long ago that our illustrious leader, Peter Malinauskas of the Labor Party, the Premier of South Australia, has decided to scrap the state of emergency pertaining to COVID and bring in the climate change state of emergency. So here's the flip-flop, and we're losing control of the narrative, and now we're going to go on the climate scam endeavour instead. So, welcome to the smart cities. So stuff your smart cities agenda. It's disgraceful. And there's more on the back because, I'm an advocate of no smart cities because it's not actually smart at all.
No, it's not. No, and we're seeing them kind of built out here in the country towns. You know what I mean?
Yep. They're attacking the small ones first.
Yeah, and try them out. So they're definitely not stopping. But now let's get to this. So you got rid of that case, and they only found a knife in your thing, and you're allowed to have a knife in your house. I'm pretty sure we've got a butter knife in the bus if they wanted to think, and maybe a nail clippers, which I've killed numerous people with. You haven't
sharpened the other edge of it, have you? As long as it's only got one edge sharp, that's awesome.
You try to make sense of it from their way. The strategy is they turn up with all these cops, they get you on the courts, everything. It's to get you on the TV. It's a way to control the rest of the population. Look what we're doing to this guy who's standing up to us. We're making his life hell. That's the point of it,
Pretty much.
I think. But now they've gone a step further. So tell us about, this is why you contacted me. Tell us about these new charges, because this is scary.
Yeah, so I'd been let off of the sticker fiasco, February 2023, as I said.
So they're pissed.
And successfully.
They didn't get you, but they're pissed off because they didn't get you.
Yeah, and I also received compensation for the amount of time and visits to court. So they compensated me, and they also gave a small amount of compensation to a lawyer that I had briefly assisting me. So that was all done and dusted. And then the end of March 2023, I'm on Telegram. I use Telegram quite regularly, and I've got a channel on there. And I had someone pop up on my Boots on the Ground channel asking if they could have a copy of the Christchurch Massacre because they'd heard that I had a copy of it, and that they'd met me at one of the Adelaide Freedom rallies at Parliament Steps and blah, blah, blah. And this person's name was Jessica Wright. I meet numerous people, as like yourself, when you're out in public. All kinds of people are coming from every direction to talk to you. I had no recollection of any Jessica, as I said, spoke to multiple people. So I thought it was someone who was genuine in their interest. And I was one of 200. This is from Facebook. This is what Facebook reported 2 days after the Christchurch Massacre in 2019. They reported that 200 people had seen it live and 4,500 people had seen the video on Facebook before they pulled the pin on it and removed it. So I was one of the 200 who watched it live, fed on Facebook the morning it happened, much to my horror. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, turning on my laptop to have that presented to me within minutes. I didn't ask for it, and now I'm involved in one of the most heinous crimes ever perpetrated on Earth. And no one.
Before you go there, Colin, Wally, I watched it too. I was actually on a walk with my son,
right?
And it just came up, and it was like, what am I watching here? And you didn't know what you were watching. And then when you went back, you couldn't find it again. But we were watching it, going, what is this? You know,
well,
you didn't know because it was so surreal. You know.
Well, in my endeavours, I decided whilst watching it, shit, I better download that because I don't know what I've just watched. So I downloaded the original, 15 minutes and 46 seconds or whatever it is long video that was put online by that alleged assailant, Brendan Tarrant, and was just horrified. Not surprised at the shenanigans going on around the world. They'll do anything they can to disarm a nation, as we saw in Port Arthur. And when I saw this, I haven't explained, but I'm actually a trained explosives technician from the mining industry. I was a driller and a blaster by trade for over 10 years. So I've got a bit of insight into how explosives and guns and all that sort of stuff work. And I was just absolutely horrified at what I watched that morning.
Can I ask though, Colin?
Yep.
Cole, now, if you're one explosive expert, you couldn't have we asked this before, didn't you? You've got no criminal record because you couldn't have a criminal record and B, do your job. They wouldn't let you do
No, you don't. You don't work in that industry if you've got a serious criminal record.
Yeah.
There's a special police squad in Kalgoorlie, Western Australia. It's called the Gold Squad, and they do all the checks and balances on anybody who's shifting into that sort of environment, that industry. So there's lots of checks and balances about character and psychological testing and all the rest of it before you're allowed into that industry. So I passed that with flying colours, and I've still got all my bits and pieces because I was bloody good at my job, mate.
Yeah. Now, how much explosive stuff have you done? Only to go with your hands and fingers. I know it's a very dangerous job from talking to other miners. How much have you done?
Well, I did over 10 years of running my own basic drilling and blasting operation, mate.
Oh, wow. So scores, numerous.
So, hundreds, thousands and thousands of tons of explosives, thousands of kilometres of drilling into the earth all over the place. Tasmania to Darwin to Western Australia, South Australia, everywhere. So extensive.
What was your boots on the ground, wasn't it? Your Telegram channel.
Boots on the ground 2025 AD.
Yep. She's got you. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's a public channel. I'm not removing any videos from there because it's all under the guise of education and historical purposes. I've not advocated anybody do any harm to anybody, anywhere, at any time. But the suggestion's being made that I've got some sort of sinister agenda running to,
Well, let's talk about Telegram. Telegram is like a library for rabbit holers and for anyone else who's waking up. They want to go looking for anything. I mean, there's all other stuff on there too. But that's one of the things in our movement. That's what Telegram was. And video sharing between, I know Jay, if Jay's watching, Jay has a fantastic Telegram channel, and you can get stuff. If you haven't found something, this is what you do. Who's got it on Telegram? Someone's always got it. And
Yeah.
so this is how we're almost keeping this history alive, because MSN just got rid of it. So in a
Well,
way, this actually did happen. We got actually video footage of it. I don't see why we can't have it. Why can't we have it? You know,
yeah.
we don't
And
have
why
to play
can't we
to
ask
kids.
some questions about it?
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Absolutely. Like
Because
the Port Arthur thing now is full of questions. It always has been, but now we're disarmed and everything's been taken away. There's a lot of questions to ask about these things.
and you
But anyway,
have to
so
see.
this woman. Oh, go ahead.
Well, you have to seriously consider the timeline of New Zealand being disarmed too, prior to 2020, mate.
Mm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
One year, exactly 1 year before something else erupted on the earth, they disarmed the Kiwi people because they knew what they were going to do.
Interesting, isn't
Okay?
it?
Yeah, it's a very interesting timeline. And then you start scratching a few other bases, like the fact that Podesta and Clinton both flew into New Zealand the 2 weeks prior to that massacre. And that raises further questions about what was actually flowing in and out of that country without any checks and balances, because they're diplomatic immunity. You know what I mean?
Also,
yeah.
the last 4 years of just complete lies from the government, from MSN, from everything, it's lie after lie after lie. We
Yep.
have a right to be skeptical about everything because you've brought it onto us. You've caused it. You've
Yep.
caused. There's so much, and even now you're still constantly lying. That it's just natural for us as Australians to be skeptical, and everyone I meet
absolutely.
is skeptical.
Yeah, we're a thinking nation. We're not a bunch of sheep, and we're certainly not a bunch of slaves, as the Anzacs did what they did, so we could be free. And it just seems that the people who are in power have no respect for that sacrifice and just think that they can do as they please, unchecked. There's something else I'd like to raise here, Michael. I did something here in South Australia. The education department here in South Australia felt it necessary to run out jab clinics in 40 primary schools here in South Australia. I set about a process where I wrote to those 40 primary schools, asking them 9 questions and demanding a response. They didn't respond to 3 letters. Okay, so in business law, if you don't respond 3 times, then that silence is acquiescence to my claims. They, shortly after the 3rd letter was sent out, they removed all those jab clinics from 40 primary schools.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think this is one of the reasons that I'm being attacked politically.
Wow.
And SAPOL has been politicised because they're attacking me because I stood up between the darkness wanting to attack the children, and I put myself between them. And this is the paybacks. We're going to threaten you with 7 years in jail because you got in the way of us ruining children's lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's an industry, isn't it? I've written a piece about it now. That's probably going to get me in a lot of trouble. That
and they attack the children.
Not only a third to this woman I interviewed today. She said she works in with young preschool kids, and she says between a third and half of the kids that she works with are injured, either autistic or something. They're all sick,
ADHD or some diagnosis.
Yeah. And on top of that, instead of trying to figure out why, we've created industries, NDIS, or these other people that come around, intervention agents or something, or in something. I've got to look up my notes. But basically, people are making money off the misery of these children rather than us going, hey, what's wrong with all these kids? Like you're in your 50s, mate. You would have been with me. You went to school. We had none of this.
No.
I'm betting in any school you went to, you never told Collie Wally, don't bring your peanut butter to school because you could kill little Jimmy. Never happened.
Well, and what about that for an ironic? You can't take a butter. You can't take a cupcake into school, but you can roll out jab clinics and shoot them up. No questions asked. Like where?
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
What's going on here?
While getting taught by drag queens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. You should chop off your penis and your testicles and become a Sheila because you'll have a better life then. Right? Yeah.
I know it's a craziness of where we are, and and even if you just bring it up, Like, this is a conversation we could have been having when we were young in any pub. You go in any pub, there'd be guys just chewing the fat. You know what I
Yep.
mean? You could talk about anything. Now, silence, silence,
Yes.
silence, silence.
Yeah,
And so when
everyone's too
we
afraid to
hear
speak
talk about
up.
this, yeah, that's right. That's right. So let's look at this new thing. So they've come in, this second, what have they charged you with?
Right. So this police officer has used Telegram and a fake profile to encourage me to send a copy of the Christchurch massacre video to them, of which I've done. You know, I haven't got a problem. It's only in educational purposes.
Yep.
And you know, whoever this is has ran. Oh, you know, oh wow, you were one of 200, so this is an original. Blah blah blah. All, you know, all good. And that was around early March, and then by the end of March, they'd made a decision to come and raid my home, and again seize all my property, and arrest me under the guise that I'm disseminating extremist material. Was the first charge. I've got extremist material in my possession, aka the video of the Christchurch massacre, and then they rolled out a third charge after stealing all my property, that I have instructions pertaining to the making of explosive devices without lawful excuse.
You're an explosive expert.
Yeah, that doesn't matter though. that's not. Yeah, we've got an agenda here. We've got a political agenda here to take you down, Wally, and this is how we're going to go about it.
Sounds like the Wallies are the ones attacking you. Anyway, so let's. So now, if they're going to arrest people for having dodgy videos on their Telegram, the videos they don't want, they might as well arrest a third of Australia.
Well, this is the concern.
Is.
This is the concern, is that they're going to try and monetize these sorts of crimes, so that they can just go out there and start arresting everyone willy-nilly. Oh, we suspect this. You know, so they're doing the, you know, you've got to prove your innocence. You're guilty, prove your innocence. Judicial flip. You know, so they've taken common law and they've just trashed it in their corporations. And I think this is all fine and good, and this is how society should run. And I'm just going like, wow, this is not how I remember Australia.
No,
it's
amazing that the police are so invested. Not just here, you see them in England arresting old ladies outside abortion clinics, arresting people for praying in their head. You know, I was silent, and as a police officer, you think you go, I can't do this, mate. Sorry, there's my gun. I can't oppress my people. I became a police officer to protect my people, not oppress them.
Yeah,
you know?
not to be
here it is now. But let's go back to the thing. So first off, you've got that video. There's no doubt there's scores of people who want to see that video. You could find it anywhere online if you looked. I don't believe it'd be hard to find. So it's out there everywhere.
Yeah.
And now they took your property. What property did they take?
They took every electronic device I own. Everything.
Every electronic device, like computers, mobile phones,
everything. Cameras, mobile phones, you name it.
Cameras.
Everything. Yeah.
Have you got any of it back?
No.
And how long has it been?
Well, since March 2022. Yeah. Sorry, March 23. Sorry, so it's coming up 2 years.
They've had it for a year.
Yeah, nearly 2 years.
Oh, it's 25, isn't it? Yeah, they've had it for nearly 2 years. Yeah. This is your computer. You can't. I mean,
everything. All my contact details, everything. They've just left me floundering basically, and having to try and pick up the pieces and figure out everything. Yeah, and they just I've asked for property back, and they're like, nah, we're keeping it as evidence. So I've done what I can, but now it's off in the district court and just waiting for trial now.
So, have you been to court at all?
Numerous times. Yeah, probably. I think
case.
This matter. I think I've been to court probably be coming up about 8 times.
And when they go to court, what do they say to you? What is it? Are they just
Well, it started off in,
What are they doing?
well, it started off in the magistrates' court, and then there was a whole bunch of back and forward pertaining to the charges and whether it was a major indictable charge or whether it was a misdemeanor. They've come to the decision in the magistrates' court that it's a major indictable, so it's been shifted across the road to the district court here in South Australia. So yeah, because I'm facing over 3 years, it's become a major indictable. Yeah, I'm
sorry. They're threatening you with 3 years jail
7.
for having that video, which you recorded off a public domain site. You didn't seek it out. You didn't order it from Pakistan or anywhere. You actually just downloaded it off Facebook, where it was free to download.
Yep.
And they're gonna do you and a dag when you 3 years.
Well, 7 years in total with all the charges. They're going for 7 years. Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah.
For having that video on your Telegram channel.
And having purportedly having instructions on how to make explosive devices without lawful excuse.
Yeah.
That's their terrorism charge. You're a sovereign citizen terrorist. Oh, okay, here we go down this oxymoron.
So that's it. So you're, as far as they're concerned, they're trying to portray you as a domestic terrorist.
Correct.
And heroically, they've managed to find you before you've actually committed the crime.
Yeah. Yep.
And they haven't found any plans of you planning a building or saying how many, nothing that, no manifesto, anything like that. So this is really early on in the crime, so early on in the crime that you're uneven aware that you're going to commit it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what we're talking about.
And I'll tell you straight right now, I was so disgusted with what I saw that day of the Christchurch massacre. I wanted nothing to do with his manifesto, mate. I didn't want to read a word of it.
I never read a word of it. Yeah.
I was absolutely disgusted with what I witnessed that day, and the fact that there's not been any checks or balances or questions pertaining to what happened that day.
Yeah.
It's just been this whitewash by the New Zealand government, censoring everybody who has it, because I'm very well aware, I think there's about 8 people who are being dragged through the New Zealand courts over this same Christchurch massacre video.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the fact that the New Zealand government's trying to stamp its footprint all over it and say you're not allowed to watch it, share it, or anything else. What's your problem? What's seriously? What's the problem?
New Zealand would go like that too. I mean, Australia.
Go and turn on the news tonight and watch what they're doing in Gaza. Right?
Yeah.
Not that I want to get involved in that circus, but every night, 6 o'clock news, it's a horror movie.
Well, the thing is, just because you go up against the government or you challenge the government doesn't mean that you want to kill our people or destroy property. I've been to marches in Adelaide and all around the country, and I've never seen any violence perpetrated by our people in these marches. We just march, we sing, we call out, but basically never. Now, I've never seen a car burnt. I've never seen a store looted or a window broken.
No.
Yeah. All I see is free hugs.
I've been advocating for many years now. I've been advocating that I'm a non-combative, non-belligerent man at peace, and I've actually surrendered as a prisoner of war. Right, so I've raised the white flag out the front of my place back in August 2021. So on the military battlefield per se, I've raised the white flag and I've surrendered. Now, when you start looking at all the international laws pertaining to the laws of war, that actually gives me the right to be protected by these authorities, because I'm now seen as a man at peace and I have to have all my rights restored as a free man. And I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing more war crimes committed, mate. That's what I'm seeing, which leads me to this document here, which pertains to the paying of tax. When your government is funding genocide, you have every obligation to not be paying tax. And your government has become nothing but a genocidal sideshow. Okay, they're promoting.
These are really interesting questions, because that's it. If they could protest in the streets, but if you really don't see what's happening and we're funding it, then why can't you say I want to see where my taxpayer dollars are going, and I don't want it to go to that?
It's a law. I don't know how well people. There it is. You can read that yourselves, people. But this all pertains to, under the domestic and international laws of war, citizens are forbidden from taking part in a war on the side of the aggressor and are legally bound to disobey the orders of any government that takes part in illegal war or supports acts of genocide, crimes against humanity, or war crimes. This duty to refuse to obey unlawful government orders includes orders to pay tax, income tax, VAT tax, council tax. If a government uses the funds raised by taxation to wage illegal wars or to commit genocide, crimes against humanity, or war crimes, then a taxpayer's normal duty to pay tax is reversed and becomes a duty to refuse to pay tax.
Wow.
There it is, people. International
Wow.
law.
Is that on your Telegram channel?
Beg your pardon?
Is that on your Telegram channel?
Oh, there's snippets of all this sort of stuff on my Telegram channel, mate. This is what
Okay.
I've been doing. I've been dragged into the legal.
That's a powerful law.
Here's another one. This one's called the Intervention Orders Prevention of Abuse Act 2009 here in South Australia. It pertains to domestic abuse, but also non-domestic abuse, Michael. And when you start reading the parameters of what pertains to abuse, you see examples of emotional or psychological harm includes mental illness, nervous shock, and distress, anxiety, or fear that is more than trivial. We're looking at an entire nation of people who are now under emotional and psychological distress.
Yeah.
Okay, under
whole
the
country
non-domestic laws. Okay, this is what's going on. And then you look at the definition of terrorism and you start reading them and you find out your government's actually become the axis of evil, not some bloke in a cave in Afghanistan. I've got no fear of that. I'm terrified of the government and what they're doing, and how out of.
Yeah, I am. There's just a comment here. Retsnom, Germany just voted in future thought crimes as well, and that's what I want to talk about. What this is. Now they found you with the instructions, and is that the anarchist cookbook, which is
it was sent to me in 2000.
I mean, that's been around for fucking decades.
Well, you can type into your search engine, and I use Brave, and you can type into the Brave search engine anarchist cookbook, and it comes up. I think it's either 75,000 or 78,000 items on the opening. No warnings. No warnings that you're about to, potentially look at some document that's illegal or anything like that. Right. So this is the name that this is all pre-crime stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, I haven't looked at that, but I've looked at other documents that people have sent me through. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're legal or not. There's no warnings on them. But what now? You're gonna have me self-filter to what I can read, or so I'm just defaulting to just reading sort of nursery rhymes or something to stay safe.
Yeah.
I mean, this is insane time. So even if you have that 75,000, you can download it. There's no warnings. That other one, I'm sorry, that's in the public domain as far as I'm concerned. And for having those two, and let's get back to this woman, because I talked to a lawyer about this after talking to you. He might be watching tonight, actually. It's entrapment. This is absolute bog standard entrapment. Oh, hi. Are you the guy? I met you, remember? You're the guy.
Yeah.
Do you have that video thing? Oh, thank you so much. That's entrapment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And this is how they're going to run the show.
Yeah. And so you think that should have the thing thrown out at the beginning? Because I did talk to this lawyer, because I remember we were saying that entrapment might be an American thing. He said, no. It's the same here. So we've got entrapment, and
we haven't got extortion laws. We do not have extortion laws here.
Okay.
Right. That's the big difference between us and America is we don't have extortion laws.
All right.
Which I find interesting.
That is interesting. But this is bullshit. So it's an entrapment and bullshit. So there's just
politically motivated. This is completely
politically motivated because you're rocking the boat. And in the new Australia, they no longer like the larrikins. They want the larrikins. What that is. This I'd say the analogy about scrub bulls. You know, the scrub bulls that are born on these what you would have known from the mines. They're born out in the on these enormous properties. They never see man, and they
Yep.
walk around thinking I'm big and beautiful. And if they breed with the cows get this spirit of this free bull. So the farmers want them killed and removed because they
Right.
want to breed them with docile bulls that'll see the cows just walk into the abattoir.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so they hunt them down. They kill these bulls so that the rest of the cows are controllable. And
yep.
that's what I think is happening in Australia. They want the larrikins gone. They want a
Seems that
silent,
way.
compliant population. They don't
Yep.
give a shit whether you know what's going on or not, as long as
Yeah,
you do nothing about it.
yeah.
And
Kind of like the
you,
Paul Hogan show.
that's right. And you are doing something, so you need to be made an example of.
Seems that way.
That is what you're facing. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Kindergarten tactics.
Yeah. And now they're actually going after thought crime. And if they nail you for this, then we are no longer in Kansas. Not that we've been in Kansas for years, but we are no longer. If they nail you for this, suddenly we are in a whole different war. Because basically any of us could go down for just what? For what?
For thinking the wrong thing, mate.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
You were standing near an abortion clinic silently. Oh, we're going to make an accusation that you were having, you were in prayer or something.
Yeah.
This is like we've just got this, genocidal circus. Democide, genocide, and ecocide is the new government motto.
Yeah. Yeah. We've even noticed Karen put in a thing to Twitter apparently, or the social media, wanting some new form, wanting controls put on. And we've noticed on our Twitter feed a few weeks ago we were doing a couple of thousand to 10,000, 30, 50, 100,000, even a million sometimes for now and again for certain posts. Now they're lucky to get over 300 each. So, Elon, if you're watching, we are being censored again in this country, thanks to Karen. And the politicians pushing it. I mean, there's election coming on. They want all forms of dissent silenced.
Yeah, they've got to keep power. They know that the independents are starting to get traction.
Yeah.
And that's concerning to them.
Yeah.
Cole,
go back to when you were a kid. If you had a chance now, say I wasn't from Australia, and I said to you, describe what Australia was like for you when you were, say, 15, 16, somewhere in that era, and to how it is now.
Yep. I would say that sadly the community has allowed outside foreign influences to steer it in the wrong direction at its detriment. That community spirit, I grew up here in South Australia as a kid, and everyone had fruit and vegetables growing in their yard. Everyone, all the kids got out and played together. Yeah, the chooks, the whole lot. There was horses over there, and there was chooks here, and and that's how it was, and everyone got along.
Of it, though, think back, really think back. There'd be dogs walking down the streets because no one really was controlling their dogs, so the dogs would be wandering down because some bitch was on heat somewhere. A lot of the dogs were mongrels. No one gave a shit whether it was a pure breed, except the ones who were really particular. Most of the dogs were bitzers, and we didn't all fall apart and die and kill each other. In fact, we were really healthy.
Well, I think there was community spirit and there was some community policing, whereas now everyone's just I've got some serious situations going on around my area at the moment, and all the elderly ladies around it, they're terrified, they're scared out of their wits, and I'm ringing up ministers of parliament and all the rest of it, and it's just, I don't know, the lack of action and the lack of just any spark whatsoever. It's like, what's going on with you people? Like, do you really want anything other than just an income out of this, or what? They've just given the police a huge pay rise. Why? Because they got to keep them on side. Otherwise, they're going to start asking questions and going, well, the conditions here are shit. Like, I went to a seminar on the 14th, Valentine's Day. I saw a seminar with Andrew Hastie and Nicole Flint, two Liberal team members here in Adelaide. And Andrew Hastie was talking about the defence industry and, China and blah, 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 and all this sort of threats and blah, blah rhetoric. And he's saying, like, they can't retain any staff. There's no one joining the army. And that the reason being is because all the children have been shot up with drugs and or they've been prescribed Ritalin for ADHD. So they can't,
that's right.
they're going to serve in the forces.
Yeah.
Right? So there's no stock to even keep our armed defences up to level. This is how serious this problem is. We're in
look, it's serious, mate. I know I'm joking and laughing a bit, but I think it's a coping mechanism. We're in serious territory.
This is a massive national security issue, and all of our
Wally here, Jay. Sorry, Cole. Colin here, called Wally, is facing thought crime for videos that he had on his Telegram channel. So you might want to replay this, Jay, because I know you've got a significant Telegram channel, but this is happening in South Australia. And this is very, 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 very concerning because literally every time I meet people from our movement, all they do is scroll through all the videos they've got from Epic, from police beating up people non-stop. Their phones are their library for this stuff. So, you know what I mean? So there's something using that against us. That's just mental. Yeah. Yeah, it's a real concern. Do you have you got a lawyer or are you representing yourself?
I've got legal representation, and they're doing the best they can in the circumstances.
Have they said anything? Have they given you any ideas of, like this is bullshit and never stand a chance, or are they concerned?
Well, yeah, they're of the same adage that wow, this is just outrageous.
Yeah,
and they haven't actually got any law to back up what they're accusing me of. When you actually look in the Consolidated Criminal Act of 1935 and this stuff, when you go looking at the laws that they've charged me under, all the parameters are just like, well, I don't even match any of that anyway. So they're going ahead and they're pushing forward with these charges, and it's an act of malfeasance of office. And they're aware of that, and to continue on this way, that makes them all liable.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't.
So they don't actually have. They're charging you with something, and they don't have the law on the books to charge you with that. The law doesn't exist.
No, they're just concocting something under the guise of we had a reasonable suspicion or whatever. There's not a reasonable suspicion at all. You're making this stuff up in your heads because, I'm just kind of like, well, when I get into trial, one of the first questions towards police is, so can you please show the court how you've got the ability to read my mind?
Yeah, 150%.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Sorry about the language, but that's where it's at for me. So you people reckon you know what I'm thinking? Wow, this is an extraordinary ability. I didn't realise that SAPOL had such a department that can read people's minds. Wow. Like, mind-blowing, dude. This is tip of the iceberg, man. This is serious. Like, SAPOL claims they can read minds. Wow, man. We better get onto that. That should be front page news tomorrow here in Adelaide on the Advertiser. SAPOL can read your mind. Wow.
But this is just
Orwellian.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to watch it, Jay.
This is Orwellian, Michael.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It really it's look, we're under so much duress when it comes to censorship, and so I hope we can get this out because this is groundbreaking. I told John Lada, I said, you got to watch this case, man, because this could affect everybody. And it's like Minority Report. That's right, Jay. This is
we are in the midst of the fascist corporation, because if you look at the word fascism is government by corporation. As I say, the word is corpocracy.
What do you think's happening? Because I'm actually of the belief that from what I'm reading this thing on globalization now from the 80s, written by an Australian professor, I think he's dead now, and he's saying that we've got to hear now. He was writing about it then, telling us then that we were going to get to hear that basically we've just been sold out constantly by all our prime ministers. Forget the constitution. They're selling us with free trade agreements. They're selling us where they were selling our utilities off, and now saying, "Oh, it's going to be much cheaper for you in the long run, to have power." Now, because the private does a much better job, now we're all paying through the nose for
and I think
power.
that's what I see something along those lines happening now on a global stage of finger pointing at departments being wasteful. So people get disenfranchised from the system we have, so that they can bring in the new system.
Yeah.
Right. So there's all these sleights of hand going on because war is deception, and I'm just watching.
But ultimately, they're still using fear as a way to control us. And so another reason for laughing tonight is to show, even though we find it bullshit, we're not sitting here pissing
You're not
our
going to
pants.
be held by fear, mate. No.
Well, no, that's why I had you on. I thought it's if they're going to arrest me as well, then you might as well get on with it. But this is, are you really going to put us in jail for our thoughts or what you think we might be thinking?
Yeah,
because they've got no evidence from you at all. They've just got that book.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind reading that book. It's just
I
don't see why we can't read anything.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Anybody should be able to read anything they like,
especially as an adult. I understand pedophilic stuff. I'm quite happy that gets kept out.
Well,
but as a community, we can talk about these things.
Yep.
I mean, we basically, what we seem to have forgotten is one fundamental truth. We're supposed to be a representative democracy, which means we vote these people in to serve us. And while they're in power, they have to consistently look at themselves and saying, am I doing what the public wants? And we haven't wanted the last 4 years of shit, and we don't need thought crime in our things. We're quite happy to look after ourselves because ultimately, Wally, we're a good people. We're a good people. Yeah. Nothing's changed from when I was young. Not all of it, but overall, we're a fairly decent bunch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now we are fighting something that has no scant regard for us. They don't care about our constitution. They don't care about our laws. They don't care about our rights. They don't care about our symbols like the shrines. They don't care about any of that. They just want control. And for some reason, our police officers are quite happy to make that, to help them bring that in.
See, this is the ultimate problem is they're going to do whatever they're going to do to people like us.
Yeah.
But after they've finished serving this beast, that beast will turn on them, and they will be discarded also. Right? And the highest suicide rate is between psychiatrists and coppers. Right?
Wow.
So not a very good profession to be in, because eventually your consciousness catches up to you and you realize you're doing the work of some really grubby people. Yeah. And you've just been thrown under the bus too, darling, per se.
Yeah.
Thanks for your service. Now piss off.
I think I saw this thing in Constantine, I think his name is. He's a sort of a new philosopher from England. I've been trying to reach out to him because he's a hell of a brain on the kid. But he's from Russia. And I saw him say this thing, which I found really moving. So say this was Russia and you and I, and if we were in Russia, we would have been in Siberia. So let's, maybe that's where we met previously in another life. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so once you got kicked out of once you'd finished your term, they wouldn't let you home. There'd be small villages in Siberia and you'd go there and you'd make a new life there. You were never allowed back. But the prison guards also weren't allowed back. So they went and lived in the same town with the prisoners who they'd been brutalizing for years. And when Stalin died and the truth came out, the suicide rate amongst these prison guards was off scale, and they did it out of shame because they thought they were doing the right thing, and then they realized they weren't. But the only difference here is we don't have to wait for these politicians to die. We've got the evidence. It's clear that what the police are shooting at the shrine, the pepper spraying of Mary, arresting Zoe in her house, and around Australia, numerous other things attacking us at Epic. We were attacked by the police at Epic. several
Yeah,
times.
closing the shrine off in Melbourne and stopping people attending the shrine.
Yep, and
Yeah,
this is
that's a
it. And
huge
it's
one.
all happening because you guys and ladies are letting it happen. You are,
Yep.
you are the oil in the machine of tyranny. And
See,
if you just go, we're not going to do this to our people, they would
yep.
have a huge problem moving forward.
Yeah. So I remember going back, I think it was 2021, I think there was 70 police officers from New South Wales that released a statement pertaining to, their view on what was happening within New South Wales policing. And they were, I don't get why that didn't get traction, throughout the entire police force of Australia. And that they all just said, no, we're not doing this. We're not playing silly games with drugs, shooting up drugs and stuff. This goes against our entire ethics and morality of what we're doing and the service that we provide.
Now, everything you've brought up tonight for what you're standing for is just pillars of our, this freedom pillars, really, in our society.
I never imagined I'd be in this situation, Michael. Like, I'm just,
No.
I just.
And it must have a wear on you to be constantly waiting. I mean, just because it's just nonsense. And you're trapped in South Australia then.
That's what they say is that this is their way of inflicting harm on you is through the process.
Yeah.
They're quite open about the fact that the process is the punishment.
Yeah.
This is the game they play.
Would you be open to having other lawyers approach you if this goes out? Because if you want to approach Wally, contact Cafe Lockdown, and tell us, and we'll forward your details.
Any assistance would be greatly appreciated in this circumstance, because this isn't just about me. This is about
this is all of us, Wally. You are the test case.
Yeah, as it's turned out, yes, I've been thrown in the deep end of the pool, or I'm learning how to swim. I'm just. Here's another one. I'm advocating everyone starts looking at the Australian Citizens Party. They've done a great job. They stopped the $10,000 cash ban, if you remember that. They've also.
Oh, really?
They stopped that circus when Morrison tried to bring in the $10,000 cash limit. They stopped that.
So what are they? What's the name?
Australian Citizens Party.
Australians. Right? If you're watching, reach out to us. We'll give you an interview.
They're now registered, I believe, as a political party, and are also the ones behind the big push to get the Australia Post turned into our national sovereign bank. Right?
Wow.
And that is what this nation desperately needs. We need this.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's actually
something. Yeah, go ahead.
The Australia Post must have 4,000. I think it's 4,000 shop fronts must stay open across Australia. But the government of today, Albanese and whoever's running, whoever's CEO of Australia, they are trying to gut as many post offices as they possibly can to that 4,000 limit. And then, obviously they'll try and push the parameters more, because they do not want this nation having a banking system that is national, right? Whereas every town's got a post office, which is then a banking system, a mail system. And that's what we desperately need, because the mail system is actually the highest order of the military system. So they're actually above the military in their authority. And that's what we need this nation to be strong, right? Before we get thrown under the bus and foreign invaders come in from every which direction. Because it feels like at the moment, this nation's kind of we're in that same precipice that America was in their early days, where we're now facing a civil war per se. We're being torn apart every which way by these foreign
it's sort
entities.
of a peaceful civil war. We saw. I said that when the 60% voted no in the Voice, or over 60%. I said this was a peaceful declaration, an undeclared peaceful civil war, where the people are saying no, and they weren't saying no on a race issue. They were just telling the government to fuck off. They'd had enough. And that's exactly what it was. And here we are now. And for some reason, I think this election is crucial because we need as many independents to get up as we can. We have to start eroding the two-party system because the monopoly
Absolutely.
game is finished. There's nothing in it for Australians anymore, except for
Well,
the ones working for the
I
government.
see it as a three-party thing. You got Liberal and Labor, and then you got this little green pyramid who's going, oh, we've got just enough votes. Where are we going to put the balance of power? So it's actually the Greens who are tipping the balance and doing deals with Liberal or Labor, and then we end up with the same socialist shit.
Mm. Yeah, it's
Right?
interesting, with the Greens because I admire the Greens for their guile. They keep going. I'm not a Green supporter of their policies,
Yeah.
but to me, they show that if you're determined, you can get independent parties up and they can have power. The Teals did it too. Everyone hates the Heels. I think, yeah, but they did it. We
Yeah.
have to learn what did they do that worked because I was traveling Australia and I was seeing people trying to win with Clive Palmer's party everywhere, trying the hardest. None of them got up except for Babette. So none of them got up. So, and that was our first time out of the first cab off the rank. Now we have to learn. Okay, what did we do wrong? We got another election. We need to get independence in. So how do we do it? And so we're going to try to do interviews on our channels as much as we can, if we can get rid of the censorship. So just like this, say you're running, I'll give you an hour and a half. Let the public meet you, see who you are. What are your visions for Australia? How are you wanting to change it? So we've done a few already. Robin's doing loads in WA because of the state, but this is what we want to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's things as much as we can. Yeah. But it's incredible. I just can't believe when you called me up the other day and you said I was listening to you and I'd read what I'd seen. I just thought every time you think you've hit the bottom with how far they want to go, they just keep going further down. Now we're up to thought crime in this country.
Yeah.
In this country, thought crime.
Yeah. Pretty tragic. I never thought I'd see the day in this nation where it's descended to this level of unconscionable behaviour.
Yeah. 100%.
Because that's the only way I can describe it. Is it's unconscionable.
Yeah.
Because anybody who looked at this matter would just be like, "Is this for real?" No, it's not. It is.
Even that, I remember when I was scrutinizing you, trying to figure out because I just couldn't process that it was happening. You know what I mean? But here we are.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest tonight?
Well, yeah, just as I said, I put the white flag out several years ago, is as a sign that I had surrendered as a prisoner of war, because after everything I've read regarding international law and the law of war and the Lieber Code and everything else I've read, it just felt right to me to do that. And yeah, I stand by the adage of being non-combative, non-belligerent, and a man at peace. And I also stand by the adage of I have a right to remain silent, and I will take up that right. You give them nothing. They deserve nothing. You give them nothing. So, yeah, that's where it's at. You have a right to remain silent anytime that you're interacting with the police or what are meant to be peace officers who've been turned into policy enforcers.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't answer questions. Get your supervisor, please. And you go about it that way, because dealing with these constables and whatnot can be fraught with danger, because they just take words out of context, as they say. What you say or do may or will be used in a court of law, and they will use everything you say and they will twist it out of context. So give them nothing. You have the right to remain silent. That's where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the advice I was given too. Yeah.
Yeah, and we as a nation have to go through this process to try and get back our standing, our true sovereign standing as a nation of Christians per se.
I think the White Rabbit too you should reach out to her, Nicola Charles, the White Rabbit
Yes.
podcast. She
Yeah.
might do a story on this because she got charged with thought crime too in Victoria, but I think she got off.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
After Mark
Well,
McDonald. Yeah, reach
yeah.
out to her. Look up, she's on Twitter and
Yeah.
Instagram and stuff. White Rabbit. She's Nicola Charles. She used to be an
Yeah.
actress.
Yeah.
I,
She's
I,
got
I
a
don't know if she got off, actually. I know she got arrested for it, but I don't know if they dropped it. But the fact that they're trying it means they're trying to see whether they can get lucky. Out there, as we're
Yeah.
sitting here disgusted out there, they're going, wonder if we could get the bastards for this, throwing them in
Yeah.
jail just
Yeah.
for their thoughts.
Yeah. Pretty much. You know,
Mm.
I've seen a bit of Nicola Charles. I think she tried to run for the Gap Party there in Western Australia briefly.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct. Or she was for a bit, yeah.
Yeah, she puts out a good. She puts out good information, and she's astute about the way she does it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get on to it. But I guess
Yeah, do, man.
that's-
Hey, reach out to the others. There's I've told Johnny Latta about it, so Hoodie and Johnny Latta often, if they think the show has worth a listen, they'll reach out as well. So this is,
Right.
and there should be other podcasters out there. There's other podcasters out there.
Yeah.
I got hold of Wally first. This is a story that should go around because all of you could be done for this because you're all going to have videos that you kept for your podcast, which now could see you in trouble. And where's the list? Is there a list out there somewhere in the universe that says you're not allowed to have this video, you're not allowed to have that video? I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that list. I didn't know you couldn't have that on your
No.
computer.
No, I was
You know?
never informed of that either. And
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I won't be taking the video down because I've only ever put it up in the guise of educational purposes and question marks. What went on that day, because there's some serious anomalies in there that don't add up to me.
Yeah.
And I think it's abhorrent that there isn't some sort of discussion pertaining to what happened that day, and also back in 1996, April 96, when Port Arthur, the purported massacre took part too, because I think it's absolutely abhorrent what they've done to Martin Bryant and the situation he's in the Risdon prison down there in Tasmania. How disgusting that a nation will do that to an autistic boy, right?
I think
And
they said he was like, he had an IQ of like 80. I mean,
just out of interest, the last thing is,
he looks like Martin
if you
Bryant.
look at Martin Bryant and then you look at me and Julian Assange, there's something a bit similar about us all. Like we've been farmed.
I just cut my hair off. My hair got pretty long too, but I got Jackman, so I cut it off. But it was the longest I'd had it since I was like in my 20s. But I was sitting here and it was sitting on my shoulder like some sort of strange alien creature. So so I cut it off. But it's, I despair because this journey we've been on in the defense of things that we believe we are losing in this country has allowed us to discover ourselves and a real love for this country. Like I'm getting a lot of trouble because I'm saying we should use the blue flag strategically to gather numbers, because everywhere I go in the country now, people are flying the blue flag like America. They're flying it everywhere, and the government doesn't like it. The corporations don't like it. And so I'm thinking, well, at Epic, everyone was 70% were flying the blue flag, and most people have grown up under it, and they don't know all the shenanigans behind it. We need a symbol of defiance to bring us together. Maybe it's our flag. I've never known of a freedom movement in the world that used its own national flag as its symbol. So it's just thought. So we've got to have these discussions.
Absolutely.
We've got to talk and have these discussions. Because at the moment people have lost the art of conversation.
Well, yes, these devices that we've been given have been very handy in taking people away from conversing and dumbing people down. I can only that's it for me. I can only advocate that you get off the tap water and the fluoride, get away from any of their poisons, start growing a vegetable garden. Start networking with people who are like-minded, who want to come back to this, basic sort of lifestyle that we used to have in Australia before it all became this modern age you've got to have all the gadgets and bells and whistles garbage. Just get back to basics. That's where it's
Yeah.
at. And that's how the people do win, by just not partaking. I saw a funny one this morning about, people claiming, you see a car driving along with, climate change now sticker on it. And it's a brand new BYD car from China. And I'm just going like, you for real? Like, you're claiming that the environment needs help, and here you are buying a new car from China, electric one at that. Like, how does that, you get where I'm going. How does that equate?
We are virtue signaling nature. We just care about the virtue signal. That's all.
Yeah.
We don't care about underneath. We don't care about what it means. We just, if the crowds, like I remember when the Ukraine war started, suddenly there's Ukraine flags everywhere, and everyone's Ukraine, and then everyone's Palestine, and everyone's this, and everyone's a rainbow flag, and everyone's this. It's like, what do I have to believe in today? Tell me. I don't know. I haven't been told by the state what I have to believe in today. That's where we're at. That's where we're at.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just,
what are
and
the
the one thing
instructions
we can't,
today?
that's right. What do I have to believe in? Honestly, they'll come up with something new shortly, and everyone will be flying that flag. You know?
Yeah.
Let's stay in touch, because I'd like to follow up. So let's stay in touch. You get any other court cases, anything like this? I think this is probably the most important case in the nation at the moment, and I think that should be sold as that. So I think other people should listen in.
I think I should.
And
I think I should
share.
probably touch
Actually,
base with Elon
don't
Musk.
share it. To everyone watching, download it, repost it. Just nick it. Just download it, repost it, because if you share it, I'm telling you, it'll go nowhere. They share this stuff, but so I would recommend buy they're really cheap, these downloaders now for your phone and everything. Download it, repost it, edit it if you want, but let's get people talking. Because if we cross the line in this country where suddenly you can be arrested for your thoughts, then we are
Slippery slope. Really,
how could we even look? Even if we died, how could we look at our ancestors in the face as we pass through to the other side? You allowed them to have thought police.
We went into the trenches of Gallipoli so you could do this.
Yeah,
for real.
You gave up freedom of choice, freedom of speech, and now you're letting them arrest you for your thoughts.
Yeah,
I died out there in the mud, buddy.
Yeah,
for
man.
you.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
At some point,
yeah.
These things have to mean something. They really do.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that there's a point at which the psyche, the energy, the God consciousness, however you want to describe it, it will resonate. Whether that's whether that's through trauma, it seems that's how people wake up. They traumatize to the point of like, we're done. And not that I want trauma brought on people, but if that's the catalyst, then I hope it's a speedy waking up process, and that people realise that we do not need to live like this, and that this is only for a certain handful of nefarious people to profit off of all of this at the end of the day.
Oh, that's right.
They really don't have a place here to be claiming any authority whatsoever.
No, I totally agree. This is
we're
we're under attack. Our country's besieged. It's under attack, and currently it's been needle raped, and now it's been pillaged by the corporations.
Well, and now we've got Chinese ships floating up and down between the Tasman Sea. Like,
that's right.
For real. This is what you're going to. Yeah.
At some point, we have to talk about what's happening.
Yeah.
We have to talk.
Yeah.
Do not go gentle into that good night. We have to.
This is a national security issue, and it needs to be discussed.
Yeah, 100%.
Straight up.
Great to meet you, man. Seriously, good to meet you.
Yeah. Please don't go through Adelaide again without stopping by.
Yeah, I think I'll keep going though. I'll keep it moving.
Once I get my bail conditions off, I'll come visit you.
In case they hear my thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I look forward to it. I look forward to meeting you. But stay in touch, and I might
Thank
reach
you.
out to you about that poor Arthur thing because I've been wanting to do something about that. So I don't know how affair you
Yeah,
are in that, but I think
yes,
it's a
it's very
discussion
well
I'd
versed
like
in
to
the
have.
Port Arthur.
All
Yeah.
right, it's a discussion I'd like to have. So maybe further down the line. But stay in touch and keep your spirits up, man. Yeah, I think
Thank you
you
so much.
literally you're in historic territory now. This is insane, and you need support. So yeah, any lawyers watching, anyone like that, and if anyone sends any stuff through, I'll send it through to you, Wally. Okay?
I appreciate all your time, Michael. I appreciate everyone
Yeah,
that's
no
on
worries.
here.
Joy,
And,
man.
yeah, all for the Anzac spirit, mate, and all for the glory of God here on earth, mate. That's where it's
Damn
at for
right.
me.
Absolutely. We were not born to be slaves.
Absolutely not.
We were not. We're
I never
Australians.
consented to any
Australians
of
are
this.
not slaves.
Yeah, I never consented to any of this nonsense.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. See ya.
Thank you.
But wait, can you hear our children crying? They're calling from all over this land. They're glaring at today's page.